What's going on, everybody? Top 10 Pokemon back. Today, folks, I am so glad you tuned in. I have an amazing auction lineup, as I always do. Just tons and tons of Pokemon items to go over. A lot of stuff we've never seen before, as usual. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching each and every week. A topic for today's video is Umbreon, the new Charizard of the modern era. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a minute here. Before we dive into the top Pokemon card auctions of the week, a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Kantoshark.com. Are you looking for an easy and reliable shopping experience for your Pokemon cards? Well, Kantoshark, the ultimate Pokemon marketplace, has got you covered. Kantoshark.com is dedicated to Pokemon only and has a brand new lineup of vintage, modern, and Japanese graded cards each and every week. And that includes same or next day shipping, folks. See for yourself. Head over to Kantoshark.com and snag the best deals on the hottest Pokemon cards. But seriously, folks, the people over at Kantoshark.com are awesome members of the Pokemon card community. Go check out their website. All right, here it is for the, I don't know how many weeks in a row we've done this auction recap, but it's going to be another doozy, I assure you. Let's jump into this auction recap, starting off with some Umbreon. We have a lot of Umbreon cards to go over. Here is a regular old PSA 10 Umbreon VMAX that has sold this week for $1,125. Here is a BGS 10 Chinese Umbreon VMAX sold for $1,225. Here is a BGS 10 Black Label Japanese Umbreon VMAX hitting a phenomenal price of $11,550. And it seems to me, guys, just like Charizard, it doesn't matter what language this Umbreon VMAX comes in, it's always going to command a premium price. Here we have two Umbreon VMAX cards, both PSA 10, that sold as a lot for $1,975. And then we saw a lot of three Umbreon VMAX cards, all in PSA 10, that sold for $2,827. We have some more alternate art lots. Here are three of the Lugia V alt arts from Silver Tempest, all PSA 10, that sold for $1,001. Here are three Rayquaza VMAX alt arts from Evolving Skies, sold for $1,075. It's interesting, these chase card lots, you'd never see vintage PSA 10 cards like this go in a lot of 2 to 3. You'll never see a PSA 10 base set Charizard, a lot of 3 of them come by an auction like that. Just never happens. That is exclusive, I'm pretty sure, to modern Pokemon cards. Here we have two Charizard GX cards from Hidden Fates that sold for a total of $1,161. And when you break that down individually, that's like what, a little less than $600 a card? That's actually pretty awesome right there. Here we have a Giratina V from Lost Origins, still such a strong alternate art card, selling this week for an even $800 as a Gem Mint 10. Speaking of strong modern cards, here's a full art Lily from Ultra Prism, yet again, selling for $1,618. Here we have a special delivery Bidoof hitting some big numbers this week, selling for $1,055. And then here's where it gets a little bit ugly. We have the metal cards from Celebration set. The metal Charizard is slowly bleeding out ever since PSA announced to be grading it again. A PSA 10 copy sold this week for $2,125. And then another copy sold for $1,876. And I mean, it's a Charizard from Celebration, so it's not exactly going to be like 1 week $2,000, the next week it's going to be like $100. You know, it's going to be a slow fade as more and more of these PSA 10s hit the market. And then the other metal card, the Metal Pikachu, if you'll notice, was listed for auction at $2,000, but there were no bids. Yeah. Now this was a card that had formerly sold, 2 years ago maybe, for over $10,000. Now people are having a tough time pulling the trigger at $2,000. Even with a low pop of only 9. Now I did check this at the time when I saw this listing. It was in fact a pop 9 card, but still I think people might be coming to their senses and realizing that there's going to be a lot more of these Pikachus coming to the market as time goes on. And then our last card from Celebrations is a CGC10 Perfect Gold Star Japanese Umbreon that sold for an even $600. We had a couple of XY era cards. Here is a Mega Rayquaza EX from Ancient Origins that sold for $632. And then we had a Full Art Mega Gengar EX from the Japanese set Phantom Gate that sold for $1,525. Let's take a little bit of a turn getting into some vintage cards. Here is a 1995, Japanese Top Sun Blueback Gengar that sold as a PSA 10 for $1,725. We had a couple of interesting sales from base set. Here's a first edition Shadowless Machamp that sold for $2,862. Here is a first edition Zapdos Holo from base set that sold for $5,756. The first edition Raichu sold for $6,950, and the first edition Clefairy sold for the most at $8,505. Now you don't see PSA 10 first edition base set holos come through on eBay very often, but when they do, it's usually from good old reliable TCA Gaming, an honest bloke that you can trust. Here we have a Australian Tour Pikachu in PSA 10 that sold this week for $1,358. Here we had an unlimited base set Charizard come by again. This time it sold for $10,150. And then we saw this first edition Korean base set Charizard in PSA 10. And it's actually an error because the label says it's a first edition Dutch card, which it looks like it's a Korean card that sold for $15,755. So not a card you see come by very often. Speaking of a card you don't see come by very often, here is an inverted stamp Pikachu promo card. Got the BGS 8.5 and sold for $3,804. And if you don't know what this means, the stamp is supposed to be in the picture with Pikachu, but somehow in printing it, it got like reversed and switched down to the lower left corner there, making it very, very rare. So yeah, an 8.5 fetched almost $4,000. Here we have a CGC10 Black Star Promo Holographic Meowth, sold for $716 this week. From Gym Challenge, we saw a Blaine's Charizard in first edition that sold for $3,900. And then we saw a first edition Dark Raichu from Rocket that sold for $1,336. We only had one card I saw from Neo Genesis, and that was the first edition Kingdra that sold for $615. And then here, folks, if you've been watching my series for the past few weeks, you know I've been touching on a lot of the reverse holos from the early EX era. Here is a reverse holo Flareon from EX Unseen Forces that sold for $242. Here is a Team Magma's Houndoom reverse holo that sold for $356. Here's a reverse holo Blastoise from EX Crystal Guardians, sold for $591. And then from Unseen Forces, we saw a reverse holo Lugia, got the CGC10 and sold for $405. Here's another CGC10 in the reverse holo Deoxys from EX Emerald that sold for $283. And then we saw this CGC10 Perfect Kyogre reverse holo from EX Emerald as well that sold for $5,100. And up next is another CGC10 Perfect. This is a Salamence holo from EX Dragon. This is the Cosmos holofoil. Got the perfect grade and sold for $898 this week. And then also from EX Unseen Forces is a CGC10 Pristine Espeon EX that sold for $3,600 this week. And then lastly, for our English cards on eBay, we saw a Latias Gold Star from EX Deoxys and PSA 9 that sold for $3,255. This is an absolute heavyweight card if you can manage to nab it as a PSA 10. Here we saw several of the poncho-wearing Pikachus yet again. They always come by for auction, it seems, and they never fail to impress. Here is one of Pikachu wearing Magikarp, sold for $2,100. One with Rayquaza sold for $2,500. Gyarados sold for $2,100. And then another Rayquaza that sold for $2,650. And then we have a lot of two here, both the Rayquaza ones in PSA 10 that sold for $5,100. Here are several very expensive Japanese promo cards. Here is a Shining Magikarp Japanese promo. This is a 600-point fan club card that sold as a PSA 8 for $4,377, and then as a CGC 9 for $7,500. Up next is a 2015 Art Academy Pikachu, the Lily Chan card in BGS 9 condition that sold for $6,600. There was a very limited supply of these released, hence the insane price tag. Here's another 2015 Art Academy Pikachu, also in BGS 9. Once again, only 100 copies awarded, sold for $6,700. And then the same card, but in a PSA 10, sold for $9,900. And then here's the 2005 Japanese Play Flareon Gold Star card. This is the 30,000 point promo card, which also happens to be signed, sold for $10,100. Here we have a 2016 Champions Festival card in PSA 10, sold for $5,900. Here is a 7,000 point Mew EX promo in PSA 10, sold for $2,700. Here is a first edition Holo Karen's Umbreon, an absolutely beautiful card in PSA 10 that sold for $2,750. Here is a Japanese Charizard E-card promo that sold for $3,716. Here's another Gold Star Evolution. It's the Japanese Jolteon 20,000 point promo card that sold as a PSA 10 for $3,800. And then lastly on eBay here, we have a fake unlimited Jungle Booster box that may or may not have sold for $5,000. Folks, please be very careful out there when you are buying vintage booster boxes like this. Up next are just a couple of interesting auctions from Golden this week. Here is a Magmortar Level X from Diamond and Pearl Mysterious Treasures. A very low pop card. I believe that there are only 11 PSA 10 examples of this card, and it sold this week for $617. Here we saw a Groudon EX from Crystal Guardians that sold for $670. From Rising Rivals, we saw this holographic Flying Pikachu in PSA 10, sold for $1,801. And then we saw our first of two Milotic EX cards that came by this week. This is from EX Emerald, sold for $4,024 as a PSA 10. And then from the PWCC weekly auction recap, we saw this holographic Butterfree from Expedition that sold for $1,890. Here's a Crystal Nidoking from Aquapolis, sold for $1,920. Here is a Japanese Sun and Moon Greens Exploration card. Both the autograph and the grade got PSA 10s. This is a Pop 9 card that sold for $2,070. Up next, we have a holographic Charizard from the Expedition set, got the BGS 9.5, sold for an even $3,000 this week. And then here's that other Milotic EX I was telling you about. This copy sold for $5,400. Here we have a PSA 10 Shadowless base set Blastoise, sold for $6,300. Here is a very interesting auction. It is a Japanese Zapdos Tropical Mega Battle phone card in PSA 9 that sold for $7,200 this week. Up next from the Pop Series 5 is a Gold Star Espeon that sold as a PSA 10 for $10,200 this week. And then here we have our last poncho wearing Pikachu. This one, however, is of Pikachu wearing Charizard, and it is graded a BGS 10 Black Label, and it sold for $11,100. Pop 4 in the BGS Pop Report. And then our auction of the week I'm going to have to give to this PSA 10 2009 4th grade winner design contest card featuring Arceus. This is a population of 3 PSA 10 examples, and it sold this week for $21,600. Thank you so much, community. I really appreciate your support. Don't forget to check out Kantoshark.com. See what kind of deals they have on there. That's all I got for you today. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll catch you all in my next one.